Another week, another productive one on the channel. From live streams, new videos, and reading 2 books cover to cover. Let's talk about the week ending April 21st, 2025. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick here with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer now, also a booktuber. You can find my music in The Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Materials Season 3, and the newly released The Hills of Tenchiko, the featured song in The Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 6. So, I wanted to do this reading roundup as I like to do every week because it's a chance for us all to talk about the books we read together. Whether we talk about it in the comments section, in the Discord, on the Fable app where we go chapter by chapter, on 4 different read-alongs of your choosing, we get a chance to chat about books that mean a lot to us and share our reading addictions with each other. So it's always a nice way to take stock and kind of talk about the week. So I would love it if you, after you watch this video, if you could leave it in the comments, let me know what you read, anything interesting happened to you this week, because I consider us friends and I consider us a community of avid readers, and I want to always celebrate each other's wins as well. But let's talk a little bit about everything that happened this week. If you like this kind of video and want to support the channel, you can like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and watch it to the end, or share it with anyone you think would like this kind of content. Let's jump into some books. So the first book I want to mention is Janny Wurts' book 2 of her Wars of Light and Shadow. Actually, books 2 and 3 in this volume, Ships of Merior. Now, this was the US edition, I believe. In the UK edition or the other editions, they were split in 2. So you would have had Ships of Marrior takes up the first half of this book, and then War Host of Vastmark book 3 takes the second half. So a little bit confusing, so I want to always let you know kind of how these editions work, because as we're doing these soft read-alongs, you know, people are reading from different editions and things like that. So just so we can all kind of stay on the same page, literally and figuratively, right? So I will say I am loving this even more than Curse of the Mistwraith. I thought Curse of the Mistwraith was great. There were some challenging sections for me to get through, and that was more of a me thing because I was still getting used to Janny's writing style, and it's so different than anything I've ever read. You know, it really forces you to slow down and pay attention to what you're reading in a way that's different to like a Malazan Book of the Fallen. The prose is, I would say, in some ways denser, but there is even, I would say, some parallel nuances and subtlety in both, but very different kind of writing style. So I've been appreciating both of them, and this is no exception. I'm about halfway done now, and I gotta say, like, Dakar the Mad Prophet's character is just becoming so much more nuanced. When I first saw him in Curse of the Mistwraith, and then at the very beginning of this book, he just felt like the Mad Prophet doing Mad Prophet things, you know. But you're starting to see there's a lot more layers to his character, and kind of the alliances he's forced to, I guess, pursue, and the people he has made enemies of, and stuff like that. It's very interesting, kind of. I'm trying to figure out how to say some of this stuff without blurting out anything spoiler sensitive. So just please bear with me if I'm being very vague here. But I am very much appreciating Arathon's character that much more. I think I am Team Arathon, at least as of now. Even with some questionable choices at the end of book 1. But very interesting. I think Lysair's character is becoming more palatable for me than he was in the first book as well. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to, you know, talk a little bit more comprehensively about this. And I know I wanted to speak with Janny as well, and we were kind of nailing down ideas on when that will happen. But there will be more in-depth discussion, rest assured, on this book. But for now, I will say I love it. I'm loving it even more than the first book, and I'm so excited to see where the story goes from here. If you are also reading along with us, let me know in the comments how things are going for you. If we're falling behind, we can always put an extra month in between entries just to make sure everybody has time to catch up, because that's the most important thing, is that we all don't treat it like a job, right? It shouldn't ever feel like work. It should just be fun. So with that said, let's move on to the next books. So like I mentioned to you, I got a chance to read 2 books cover to cover. I happen to be watching Brian Lee Durfee's video on some of the most disturbing books he's ever read, right? And I mean, I don't know why I do this to myself, you guys, because I had read, I mentioned to you, Dead House Gates, book 2 of Malazan Book of the Fallen, and 1984 at the same time. And I was like, oof, two dark books at the same time. Should never do that again. But I loved both of them, right? So Brian Lee Durfee talks about this book called The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum, which is based on a real story of this horrible, horrible story of this girl named Sylvia Likens, and I think her sister's name was Jenny. A lot of these names get changed in the book, kind of as it's more of a dramatic retelling of some of these events that happened. And this, took place in the 60s, I believe, in Indiana. Like Sylvia Likens was tortured, really, and killed, not only by her caretaker, but by the caretaker's younger sons and even people from the neighborhood. So it's just a shocking, shocking case. And really not something I should be reading after those heavy books. But I don't know, something compelled me to read it because I guess I'd heard about it for years now, and it's always been something I'm curious about. And maybe sometimes curiosity gets the best of you. I don't know. But I gotta say, this is one of those books that I read it in about 2 days. So obviously I was riveted by the book. It is expertly written by Jack Ketchum. I think even as horrifying as it is, he still does it in a way that is not gratuitous only for the sake of salaciousness. Does that make sense? So it still serves what happened and kind of just does justice to the real story and sensitivity to those people. However, it is probably the most disturbing thing I've ever read. I mean, I had real trouble sleeping that night after I finished the book because it's one of those books that just keeps getting bad and worse and worse. And it's like every trigger warning I could ever possibly put on any book, I would put on this book. So would I say I enjoyed it? Absolutely not. Would I say I was riveted by it? Absolutely. Would I say his writing style makes me want to read more of his other books? Yes, without a doubt. Would I say I could recommend this book to anyone? No, definitely not. It is just, it crosses lines, I think, that, it's one of those things when something like this really happens, how can one tell a story about it without diving into the disturbed, the depraved, right? But of course, it's at what cost, right? What cost to the reader? And I'm sure what cost to the writer himself, having to explore this so deeply. So I don't know. It was a harrowing read, you guys, but I don't know if you've heard of it. If curiosity gets the better of you, all I could say is proceed with caution. But I will say that his writing style was captured me so much that I think I will probably check out another one of his books. I will see first if he has anything that is a little less disturbing. If not, maybe he's just not for me. I don't know. But The Girl Next Door was the first book that I completed from cover to cover within like 2 days. So riveting, but not recommended. The second book I got a chance to read from cover to cover. Now, this one I read in a little less than 24 hours. I started it yesterday on Saturday, and I finished it this morning on Sunday. And that is Philip Fracassi's The Third Rule of Time Travel. Now, this basically establishes the idea that you can travel in time, but only as an observer, not a participant. You can't actually change events, but you can incorporate your consciousness into the body of yourself, essentially, in this particular core memory, and re-witness things. Now, I will try to keep the spoiler free, but the idea is what happens when you keep doing that? Are you testing the fates? Are you tempting the universe? Or are you pissing the universe off? Is this going against the nature of the universe itself? At what cost would that come to? So I will say I would probably give this a 3.75 stars out of 5. Not that that's a bad thing. I think it was a very good book. Did it blow my hair back? I wouldn't say necessarily. I think some parts of it were a little bit predictable, a little bit heavy-handed, but I thought the concept was fascinating. I think every step of the way, Philip Fracassi keeps you guessing. I think the science in it is very interesting as well. And there's certain concepts that are introduced in this book that I would love to read about on my own and kind of see, dive in a little bit more into some of those time paradoxes and things like that. Now, I will say, I don't know if you all know of an author named Blake Crouch. So he does the technological thrillers really well as well. I felt like the science is addressed a cut above in Blake Crouch's books than in Philip Fracassi's book. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. This is the only one I've read of his. And it just convinced me that I want to pick up more Philip Fracassi. And it's interesting because both of these books, like, I read them so fast. So obviously there was something that I really got out of them. But I don't necessarily feel like they were mind-altering. Maybe Girl Next Door was mind-altering, but not in the way that I would want. But I wouldn't say that it was necessarily like how I feel when I read a Janny Wurts book or a Malazan Book of the Fallen book, where it kind of expands your worldview, which is ironic because it's talking, Philip Fracassi's book is talking about very cutting-edge scientific concepts, and time travel is something that I'm very interested in reading. So, yeah, I thought it was good. It didn't blow me away, but definitely worth a shot. And I would say, like, everybody has very different perspectives on hard sci-fi and how much science they want in their books. So this actually might be more palatable for you. So I always like to say, like, don't necessarily take my word for it. I like to highlight these things, but I always say try it for yourself. See what you think. And if you disagree or agree, let me know also in the comments, because I always want to hear from you. And I always appreciate contrarian points of view. I think our discussions is what allows us to have richer experiences with the books we read. So that was those three. And then I got a chance to read a little bit more of Alaska by James Michener. Now, anybody who knows about this channel in recent weeks knows that I read 200 pages of Alaska, I think, and then I immediately started buying James Michener books in a frenzy because it appealed to me that much. It's historical fiction in a way I haven't quite seen it before, where it crosses way many years, like 29,000 years of Alaska's history, from the first humans who are crossing Siberia into Alaska from the Bering Strait, which was around at that time, right? All the way up to present day. And he has made ones on Hawaii, on Texas, there's one called The Source about Israel. There's all sorts of books that kind of go into these very massive topics, and I'm about 450 pages in now, and this is an 1,100 page book, so this is just one that's going to go on in the background. There's no way I'm going to try to brush this because it is a magnificent experience. And anybody who likes historical fiction, I say, absolutely pick this up. Even if you don't care for historical fiction or you don't know, I think this feels like fantasy without the magic system. It's kind of how I always like to put it, is the truth can sometimes be stranger than fiction, right? And when you get a chance to see POVs from a woolly mammoth's perspective 29,000 years ago, to some of the first humans that were crossing over, to Bering himself in the Russian expedition, you get a chance to see very different cross-sections of humanity. So really, really wonderful stuff. So let's talk a little bit about, this is a long kind of first section here. Let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to read. So I'm going to continue with Ships of Marrior by Janny Wurts. Definitely want to get more into this by the end of the month. So I'm going to try to make this a big priority. I'm also going to be reading more of Memories of Ice, Book 3 of Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. This is part of our official channel read along. So we have 2 months. We have until the end of May to finish this. So I have time. I have about a quarter through now, and I really want to make some dents in this. So 2 chonky fantasy books, but wait, there's more. I will be doing some more reading of Alaska. So 3 chonky books for the week. Let's talk a little bit about this week in the channel, because it was a very memorable week for the channel. I got a chance to put up a video in addition to my usual weekly reading roundup, and that was memorable first time reads. So basically what that is 10 books or series that I wish I could read again for the first time. You know how when you reread something, sometimes you get more out of it, but rereading it, sometimes you feel like, that was so mind-blowing. Like, I wish I could re-experience the magic of what I felt that first time reading that book or that series or that author. So I really do feel like there are some like that. And I included a list of my top 10. So you could check out that video up here, linked up here if you haven't already. And I hope you enjoy it. The other 3 things that happened on this week on the channel were all live streams, you guys, both on other people's channels and then also on mine. So on Saturday, I'm trying to remember all these days. On Saturday, which was just yesterday as of this taping, you're seeing this on Monday, so a couple days ago, I got a chance to be on the wonderful Cliff from Cliff's Dark Gems channel talking about all things Robert McCammon and specifically his first 3 books of the Matthew Corbett series. Now, this is another soft read along for my channel. Me and Cliff have been reading those books together amongst, some other people who've been joining in. And we wanted to have a nice nuanced discussion on those 3 books because it's historical fiction, but with horror elements that only, a Robert McCammon or a Stephen King would be able to do. His character work is incredible, and Matthew Corbett's evolution through those 3 books was fascinating to behold. I think we both agreed on a lot of stuff, we disagreed on some stuff, and it's kind of fun to see how we had different experiences with some of these books. So that is linked up here in case you want to check it out. But Cliff, thank you so much for having me on your channel, man. It is always great talking to you, and you've become a fast friend of mine, and I can't wait till one day we can meet in person, man, as I always feel with like good friends on BookTube. So if you haven't checked out his channel, by the way, fantastic channel. He talks a lot about horror and kind of darker books and stuff like that. Hence Cliff's Dark Gems. So definitely check out that channel if you haven't already. The second live stream I got to do was actually on Sam Not So Wise's channel. Now this one was really a pre-recorded one that we did last week, but he actually posted today on Sunday. So yesterday for you guys. Tomorrow is yesterday, today, whatever. You know what I mean. And it was a really wonderful discussion just talking about sci-fi. He got me to put Ian M. Banks higher on my TBR. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. Thank you, Sam. It is always a pleasure chatting with you, man. I can't wait to have you on my channel at some point. So we will figure out a Shelf Talkers episode for you as well. And then the third live stream I got to do was also on Sunday, and that was with David from Four Corners of the Page, one of my favorite new booktubers who is fast growing and just did an incredible, insightful interview with Stephen Erickson, the author of Malazan Book of the Fallen, and he has very similar energy to mine, so we just became fast friends through our discussion. We talked for about an hour and a half about all things books and just about reading tastes and how they evolve as we evolve as people. So really fun discussion. That's linked up here. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen on this channel, because this is going to be a gangbusters week, you guys. I am going to be releasing 2 videos. I'm going to put one on Wednesday, which is the long-awaited book haul video, because I'd promised you all I'm going to try to buy less books this year. That didn't work out as well as I'd hoped, but it's still better than previous years. But because it's already almost end of April, it's time to kind of show you some of the stuff that has come in, because a couple of them are really near and dear to my heart. A couple were gifts. One was a gift from my in-laws, and I just want to show them to you all. So I figured it would be a nice way to kind of open them up for the camera and kind of do a live reaction on some of them as well. So that's going to be on Wednesday. On Friday, I'm going to put up my May TBR. Now, I'm doing it a few days early because I always like to make sure if anyone wants to join in, you have a few days to kind of clear the decks or buy or, purchase or check out from the library any of the books that you want to, read alongside me. And then I have 2 amazing live streams coming up this week. So on Wednesday as well, I'm very honored and excited that at 10 a.m. PST, which is 1 p.m. EST, I'm going to be a guest on Daniel Green's channel. Kind of doing a discussion on all things the Wheel of Time music in season 3, the Hills of Tanchico, and kind of the whole idea of the circular moment that led me to work on the show, which was really discovering BookTube through Daniel Green and then through Mike's book reviews. So, when Hills of Tanchico came out, I commented on one of Daniel Green's videos just thanking him for being a big influence on my Wheel of Time journey, and he reached out to me on Instagram and we've been chatting. So I'm so excited to be able to chat with someone who got me into BookTube. So that's going to be on Wednesday, and I will post a link whenever I get a chance to, kind of get that stuff settled. And then on Friday, I am so excited to have the wonderful Jake from Nerd Level Rising. Now, I was a guest on his channel. He graciously had me on his channel, and I had such a good time talking with him. Long-haired crew have to stick together, right? So he's going to be a guest on Shelf Talkers episode 6, and that is going to be on Friday, which is at 11 a.m. PST, 2 p.m. EST. I feel like some of this stuff is mental gymnastics, so please bear with me if I'm squinting really hard, trying to remember in vain some of these timings and stuff. But Jake, I'm so excited to see you on my channel, man, and thanks for taking the time to be there. I know you have other live streams and stuff like that planned on Friday, and you know, and you're working on your PhD, for crying out loud, and you're taking the time to be on my channel. It means a lot, man. I'm so excited to chat with you. So I'll post links on the community post and all that as those are ready to go as well. So exciting times all around. Let's talk a little bit about the music front. So The Hills of Tanchico continues its climb. I just got a message from the Sony Music Soundtracks, actually, that he mentioned, and this was last week, and it's actually kind of blown up since then. But he mentioned last week that The Hills of Tanchico has close to 1 million streams on the user-generated content around that song on TikTok, which is insane. And I think it had, at that time, like 350,000 streams on various digital platforms, which is like far and away, I mean, more than I could have ever imagined. So this is just insane. And I know, you know, Amazon wants to submit for award season and stuff. So let's see how it all goes. I'm just knock on wood, you know, and I got a chance to also debut. I don't know if I did the short yet. Maybe I'll put it on the channel as a short or something, but I got a chance to get a Hills of Tanchico t-shirt, you guys. Kate from the wonderful Watt series, who wrote a great article about Hills of Tanchico and the review of each episode and everything. And she kindly sent me a shirt she designed herself. So I will show for the camera. Actually, I'll put it in my book haul video so you could see that as well. And yeah, I'm really excited to kind of show that as well. So Kate, if you're watching this by any chance, thank you so much for sending that to me. It really meant a lot. And it's nice to see a lot of people are wanting to order that. So I will leave also a link in the description in case you want a Hills of Tanchico t-shirt as well. Then I am also working on the game music for my wife's game, which is like a magical girl game that's very inspired by Sailor Moon and Japanese anime. And I'm working on an evil queen's theme. So I'm going to be doing that. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be doing a photo shoot for my PR company. They want some new shots of mine that are not like 10 years old and that are, you know, professional shots for award season and everything. So that is all going to be happening. And there is possibly a Wheel of Time AMA that I might be doing, but nothing is firmed up yet. So I will keep you posted as soon as that all is settled as well. And I would love to see some of you there in case you want to know anything more about my contributions to the show musically and whatnot. But I would love to know, as I always like to ask every video, you know, what's most important to me personally, you know, is to hear from you and hear about what your week was like. And let's celebrate your wins. Let's talk about the books that you read. And I would love to know if there's any books that, you know, I spoke about that you've read that you've enjoyed, or anything you think I should move higher or lower on my TBR. I really appreciate and value your opinions. You know, I've read some great books through your recommendations, so I'm deeply grateful you're all a part of this community. And it is a community, you know, we're all there for each other on the Discord, on the Fable app, through the comment section. And I'm grateful for all of it. So thank you for being here. I'm Nick Hill with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and have a wonderful week ahead, everybody. And I'll see you as always on the next video. Take care.